What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another My Week With video. So this week I've been driving the 2024 Lexus GX 550 Overtrail Plus. And yes, this is a 2024. It's basically the same for 2025 though. I'll briefly run down. For 2025 you do get a 1-inch suspension lift as standard on all Overtrails. You also get a memory seat as standard on all GXs, as well as a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel and steering column for 2025. But aside from that, the changes are basically the same. Seems like colors are even the same and all that. I love this incognito color of this one in particular. But so I mean, this little impression video will apply to the 2025s, of course. These just came out last year and I was so impressed with them. I reviewed this the full video back in early 2024 and was really impressed with these. So impressive off-road, especially. We had a really cool off-road course, hanging wheels and doing all kinds of crazy stuff with all the very impressive technology as well as hardware you have here with the GXs, and it just makes for a very cool package. And so you're definitely going to watch that video for all of my impressions, all the specs, all the details on this thing. But as far as what it's like to live with this thing, as we're taking off very nicely, this thing is so strong and punchy. I know some people are probably still upset that it doesn't have a V8 anymore, but this twin turbo V6 is a real beast of a motor, and it really is impressive from a power standpoint. It's not so impressive from a fuel standpoint. I'll talk about that more in a little bit, but as far as just from a acceleration standpoint, it really is so good. And actually for this week with the GX, I was mostly just road tripping, so I did almost all of my miles on the highway here and put about 370 miles on it in that time period. And as far as my impressions of it out here on the road and living with this vehicle now for a week, it basically lives up to the initial first impression, that first drive. It lives up to all that, and it's just really nice to live with. The one thing I will say from a livability standpoint that I noticed is that these turning radius is really good, especially at least on the Overtrail ones here. So it's very easy to turn around in parking lots, combined with the 360 camera you get on these. But when you're in tight spaces, this vehicle, yes, it's large, but it doesn't feel cumbersome to navigate it, and it's very much very user-friendly kind of experience. Obviously, I still adore the huge windows on these. It is really like unparalleled in this segment, or really hardly any segment, as far as having these super tall windows. This vehicle is so good for taking in your surroundings, checking out the outdoors. It's just so nice, and another thing I really love about this. And the Overtrail versions certainly aren't the best on the highway, with these tires and also this profile. I was actually driving a lot of my miles on a windy day, and I mean, it's not getting blown around as much as a Wrangler or something, but you just have the physics and the aerodynamics working against you there a little bit. So, if I was doing a highway cruising GX, I would certainly go for one of the more luxurious trims that doesn't have all the off-road stuff on it here. But this one is still certainly, very nice. The only other little thing I'll say is, although all the tech worked really well as far as adaptive cruise control, all those types of things, were completely flawless. The one thing that I didn't love, though, was that the driver monitoring system is very aggressive. I mean, it doesn't give you hardly any time to look around anywhere. Like, if your eyes are not glued to the road 100% of the time, it's going to be upset at you. Like, even if I just look over, someone says, hey, look over there at the woods or something, like that split second of distraction oftentimes will trigger that alert. And I mean, obviously, I was demonstrating, it gives you a little bit of leeway there, but not very much. And then of course, the second you put your arm up like this, and if you ever drive like this, or you're ever blocking the wheel or anything, it's going to immediately give you an alert. I'm surprised it actually didn't do it there. It's being more relaxed with me now that I'm talking about it. But it was just like, throughout the course of the week, I was like, even though I'm just on the highway, just looking at stuff on the side of the road there for a split second, it was, kind of a little bit annoying. You can turn off that system, I think, although I believe turning it off also gets rid of your traffic jam assist function, because that is required to be enabled in order to, do that traffic jam assist and enable, that little bit of hands-off, low-speed kind of stop-and-go kind of, driving, if that's something you want to utilize. But I have to say, after spending a week with the Land Cruiser back in 2024, and now spending a week with this, I really love the Land Cruiser. It still is plenty punchy, and for my purposes, I'm sure it'd be completely fine, but it is very nice having this twin turbo V6 here. I mean, it's such a strong engine and is just so enjoyable to use that I think for me, since it's not that much of a price premium either, I'd probably just go for, the GX here. And that's the thing, is like, this one as tested is about $84,500. $84,500 is not bad, you know, considering, you know, Land Cruisers can get up to like 70 grand already on their own. I also don't love, that's the forward cross traffic alert, which, you know, anytime you're doing anything, you know, that's even remotely off the brake pedal, it's like, oh no, you're gonna pull out in front of somebody. I mean, that's a nice idea. I just feel like the execution could still be a little more intelligent, give, again, a little bit more leeway there. But anyway, you know, I do think, you know, if you have 70 to spend, you have 85, I mean, maybe, you know, it's a decent jump, you know, but this does get a little bit more stuff, you know, for that price tag compared to a fully loaded Land Cruiser even. So, I don't know, for me personally, I go for one of the lower trims of the GX that still comes very well equipped and, you know, still, you know, get a lot of the same goodness here of the GX because all of them get this awesome motor, all of them get the awesome looks and all that. And so, I still think you know, my original position of, you know, choosing this over the Land Cruiser, I still am sticking to that. I think I would just pay the slight bit extra for this over that, but I still love the Land Cruiser as well. Another one that I think this compares very favorably to is the Land Rover Defender, which is really the primary competitor to this vehicle in my mind. There's also like the, you know, Mercedes G-Wagon, but those are so much more expensive. The Defender's actually kind of, you know, pretty close in price to this. And, you know, I really liked the Defender. It drove very well. It was, you know, really cool with all the interior storage and all the bolts everywhere, and just, you know, it was a really fun vehicle, and I really do enjoy those a lot. And the one that I had, I think, was right around this price tag, but I gotta say that, you know, for that same money, I had like a 10-inch screen in the Land Rover. This, I got a 14-inch huge, you know, thing, way bigger CarPlay display. You know, I think a couple more creature comforts. You also have just, you know, the Lexus reliability is really nice to have. I mean, Land Cruisers, it seems like those Defenders have been pretty, for the Land Rover Defenders, I think they've been pretty solid from a reliability standpoint so far for this generation, but, you know, these Lexuses are pretty legendary as well. So, you know, certainly something, as well as also the higher residual values typically, and, you know, higher resale values here for the Lexus is another reason. But, you know, having spent a week in that and now a week in this, you know, it comes down to personal preference for some of that stuff, but I think you do get more for your money, certainly here in the GX, and, you know, that money, you know, retains its value a little bit better than that Defender. But the last thing to really talk about, and my one main gripe, but I left it till the end here because it's, again, something probably not a whole lot of people will have as a gripe, is fuel economy. And obviously, you're buying something like this, you know you're not going to get good fuel economy. But I think part of the motivation for getting rid of the V8, I'm sure there were other reasons, but part of that was, I'm guessing, you know, better emissions, better fuel economy, and, you know, maybe emissions are slightly down, but fuel economy certainly doesn't seem to really have moved much. So these are rated at 15 mpg in the city, 21 on the highway, and 17 combined. In my driving here, I will say the little bit of around town driving that I did before we hit the highway, I was averaging about 16 to 15 mpg. So kind of, you know, hitting that city number, which, I mean, it's not a high city number, but at least it's not false advertising with that. You know, it is hitting that. And so that's good. Now, I didn't reset this, so that is dragging it down a little bit, but, you know, I would say 95% of my driving over these 370 miles on the trip computer here were on the highway. And my total average now has been 18.6 mpg. So I'm falling well short of that 21 mpg number. And that is kind of disappointing. You know, again, you would hope going down in cylinder count and not using that boost when you're on the highway, you know, would help out your fuel economy. But I mean, this is boxier than the last generation. You know, I think a little bit heavier as well. So, you know, I guess some of those things probably are contributing to that. But, you know, they say on the sticker 21. I'm getting 18.5 on almost pure highway driving. Obviously, I'm probably doing some higher speeds than what the EPA does to hit those numbers. I think the EPA test is like 48 miles per hour or something for that, which is, you know, hilariously low. But it's just worth noting. Keep in mind, in the real world, you may only get about 18.5 mpg here. You know, you might not actually even crack 20. So, again, you're buying something expensive that's, you know, got the aerodynamics of a condominium. So you probably can't expect anything, you know, too impressive, but just wanted to put that out there, just a little bit of a heads up if you are someone, you know, that experiences a little bit of pain at the pump, you know, if you have a high expensive fill up and do it frequently, which you will be doing frequently here in this vehicle for sure. But that's really it. Otherwise, you know, like I said, so impressed with the GX. Really, really enjoy this thing, and it's been a really nice thing to live with for the week. You know, it's fun on the highway. It does get some looks as well. People still admire these things. You know, the styling is very bold, especially this incognito color, again, really stands out. And, you know, it's a really cool offering. I love the way they redid the GX. I think it's so much better than the old one. The old one, you know, had its niche following, and there was certainly, you know, some people that appreciated it, but for me, it just wasn't competitive. This is now competitive with the best in its class, and I think is, you know, really kind of giving you more, from a value standpoint, giving you, you know, more appeal than some of those, you know, like the Defender being a little bit old now. This is fresher, you know, newer, you know, it has the Lexus, you know, again, reliability, as well as the reputation of the GX in general, and just how legendary these things are for, you know, that off-roading community, and for just people that enjoy these in general. And so overall, yep, happy that the GX did not let me down whatsoever, as long as you don't mind the bad fuel economy. But anyway, that's all of my thoughts here on the GX. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. And also, huge thanks to Lexus for providing me here with this vehicle to review for you guys today. Be sure to, again, go watch that full review video if you want to hear all my thoughts on it. Also, be sure to check out the video on the Defender or the Land Cruiser there if you are curious to see, you know, how those are out here in the real world after living with one of those for a week. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.